Hi, we're looking at MMicSim again. This time I thought I'd do something different. I'd compare how well it emulated two microphones I have. So the first one is the SE7, which is selected there. It's on this track 1. And the output is a Shure SM58. And on the other track, we have a Shure SM58. There we go. So that's the input, that's the microphone I'm using. And on the output, we've got an SE7. So on the first track, we're making an SE7 sound like an SM58. And on the second track, we're making an SM58 sound like an SE7. Okay, so let's disable the effects to begin with. So this is the raw sound of the SE7. I had called upon my friend Sherlock Holmes upon the second morning after Christmas with the intention of wishing him the compliments of the season. There we go. Okay, let's now play the same on the SM58 track. I had called upon my friend Sherlock Holmes upon the second morning after Christmas with the intention of wishing him the compliments of the season. All right, so I'm not sure I could tell the difference between the two. So let's enable the effects on track 2, which is going to make the SM58 sound like the SE7. No effects on the SE7. So we'll just play through and then I'll switch between the two so that you can hear the difference or similarity, perhaps. Here we go. I had called upon my friend Sherlock Holmes upon the second morning after Christmas with the intention of wishing him the compliments of the season. Sherlock Holmes, The Adventure of the Blue Carbuncle by Arthur Conan Doyle. I had called upon my friend Sherlock Holmes upon the second morning after Christmas with the intention of wishing him the compliments of the season. Sherlock Holmes, The Adventure of the Blue Carbuncle by Arthur Conan Doyle. I had called upon my friend Sherlock Holmes on the second morning after Christmas with the intention of wishing him the compliments of the season. I'm not sure I could tell the difference between those two if I wasn't doing a back-to-back A-B, which is interesting because they're very different mics. The SE7 is a small diaphragm condenser and the SM58, as you'll know, is a dynamic mic. So you'd expect them to sound quite different potentially, but maybe on a voice because it's sitting in the sort of middle of the audio spectrum, well, not even in the middle. It's not sitting at the extremes. Maybe they're more similar in that middle bit. Let's do it the other way round. So we'll enable the effects on the 7 to make it sound like a 58. And then disable the effects on the 58 so it sounds like a 58. Well, it is a 58. And then we'll play it again. So we'll start off on the 58 and then we'll switch to the SE7. I had called upon my friend Sherlock Holmes upon the second morning after Christmas with the intention of wishing him the compliments of the season. Sherlock Holmes, The Adventure of the Blue Carbuncle by Arthur Conan Doyle. I had called upon my friend Sherlock Holmes upon the second morning after Christmas with the intention of wishing him the compliments of the season. I'm not sure I can tell the difference between those. There is a difference. A little bit of a difference. I should say I've normalized both these tracks, so they should be pretty much the same level. Let's see what happens if we null them. So both these mics should be sounding like an SM58, and we'll put both tracks on. So in both tracks, and then we'll invert the phase on the 58. I had called upon my friend Sherlock Holmes upon the second morning after Christmas with the intention of wishing him the compliments of the season. Now, if they were exactly the same, they'd be nulled, but there's one thing I haven't done, and that's made sure that the tracks are aligned because there may be a phase difference. So to do that, we can add another Melda effect, which is auto align. So there's auto align, put it at the start of the track and add it to the other track and enable the effects. So with this, you can, we're on drum set, but let's choose something that vocal. Let's change that to vocal. So they're both, I'm putting them in both in the same group. So we'll start playing. I had called upon my friend Sherlock Holmes upon the second morning after Christmas with the intention of wishing him the compliments of the season. Sherlock Holmes, The Adventure of the Blue Carbuncle by Arthur Conan Doyle. I had called upon my friend Sherlock Holmes upon the second morning after Christmas. Let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at what it's done. So it's 12 samples. It's different. It's in track 1. It's delaying the signal by 12 samples, 0.2 milliseconds, which isn't very much, is it? Actually, it tightens things up a bit, doesn't it? Let's do a phase reversal and see if they're nulling anymore. So the SM58 now is trying to sound like an SE7 because I've enabled MMicSim on the SM58. Let's see how it nulls. Phase reverse. Look. I had called upon my friend Sherlock Holmes upon the second morning after Christmas with the intention of wishing him the compliments of the season. And yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? It's coming through, but with a little bit of room tone, and you might expect that the SE7 itself is maybe picking up more room tone than the 58 because of the nature of the mic. It's a bit more sensitive. So let's swap things round, make the 7 sound like a 58 and see how close that gets. I had called upon my friend Sherlock Holmes upon the second morning after Christmas with the intention of wishing him the compliments of the season. It's pretty much the same, isn't it, in terms of the phase cancellation. We're assuming that auto align's done its job, so we're not hearing a slight echo. We're hearing a phased align version and phase inverted version, and the combination of those, which would, in an ideal world, null. But here, I don't think you'd expect them to. You can't expect MMicSim to be perfect, can you? But it's an interesting tool. With these two mics, I don't think you'd bother using it, would you? I think the sound is good enough. Well, there's no point if you've got both mics. Just choose the one you want. But what does this prove? I'm not sure, really. I'm not sure. It's fun to play with. That is for sure, but maybe it tells you something about the accuracy of this. I think it's probably doing a reasonable job, and that it's making the microphones a little bit more similar. There are other ways to do that, but of course the benefit of this is that, as I showed in a previous video, that you can make the SE7 sound different by choosing a mic that you don't have. You know, whether that works or not, whether you can really make an SE7 sound like a Neumann, I suspect not, because it's more complex, isn't it? The differences between the mics than just the frequency balance. But it's a fun little tool and something I might use occasionally. What do you think? Is this useful? Has this proved anything? Has it convinced you that you should buy an SE7 or an SM58, or just stick with the microphone you have? Anyway, that's MMicSim with an SE7 and an SM58. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.